It's always hard when you're streaming and you want to get the lights going. There we go. Hopefully you guys can see me better now. It is 1 a.m. doing my typical 1 a.m. live stream to talk about Freemasonry. Thank you guys, by the way, for what was truly an excellent stream this afternoon. Definitely we're nearing the top of the number of views, the number of likes, subscribes, all that jazz. And so it's greatly appreciated. I'm going to be posting more about that shortly. But yeah, please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thank you all for being here. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear them. Let's give it a couple minutes. Let's see who joins. Hopefully, I'm not muted. I'm going to do a quick test to see if I am or not, because sometimes that can happen, and that's a pain in the butt. Oh, we're good. Oh, you aren't. Thank you, sad boy. I hope you're not too sad. You know, a good way to not be sad is hit the like and subscribe button. Hello, brother. Hello, sad boy, Maz8392. I don't know if you're new to the stream or not. I don't think I remember the name Sad Boy. I hope you'll be happier soon. Linking Atlas. Hello there to you as well. Thank you for being here. I hope everybody's having a great night. It's crazy to think tomorrow is already Tuesday. I've been back for 2 days. It feels like it's been a lot shorter since I went to beautiful Bogota, Colombia, but I'm very happy to be back. Sad, I'm very sorry to hear that. It always sucks to lose somebody under any circumstances. I'm sure in some ways losing a brother to an OD is especially challenging. I hope you find people to talk to in your life, not relying on this chat. I'm not that I'm not grateful you're here, but you need somebody in person you can talk to, or maybe even somebody you can call and speak to directly, right? About how you're feeling. I'm sure it's incredibly tough, but I'm grateful that you're here nonetheless. And thank you for being here. You can like, you can subscribe, you can share, you can do a super chat, just 99 cents. Well, sad boys, I am glad that you're here. And yes, we'll all keep you in our thoughts. I can only imagine how tough it is. I'm an only child, but I've lost Masonic brothers for, a variety of different reasons over the years, and it's always been incredibly tough. Umar Kirkra, hello. I hope you're doing well. Let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and thank you so much for joining. These 1 a.m. streams, I tend not to have any specific topics. Rather, I just hang out, wait to see who joins, and wait to see if there's anything they want to talk about. Doesn't have to be about Freemasonry per se. We can just hang out and chat. So yeah. Do I have a lot of thoughts? I think so. The thoughts never seem to stop, in fairness. Hello, Ethan. Loving the font. Tomorrow, I guess technically today at 1 p.m., I'm actually going to be talking about Masonic fonts, or the best type of fonts to use in Masonic correspondence, Masonic records. Can it be a moderator? Asks Amber. Not right now. I think we'll pass. I don't think we'll need any moderators at the moment, but thank you for asking. Double it and give it to the next person. What are we doubling? That's not a bad trick sometimes, Eddie, to just be present. Meditation and yoga, they talk a lot about being present, and sometimes that means letting go of your thoughts. I'm not sure what the rebirth ritual is when you talk about Freemasonry. I mean, I believe you would be talking about the third degree, but I've never heard it referred to as a rebirth ritual. I think you may not be thinking about Freemasonry per se, because I've never heard the term rebirth ritual used within Freemasonry. Now, keep in mind, I'm 18th degree Scottish Rite, but it's not a ritual of which I'm aware. The closest I can think of is third degree, but I guess metaphorically, in some ways, maybe you could consider it kind of a rebirth, but not really. It's not the way I would describe it. Ethan Magno123, welcome. Looking like a thumb. Well, Steve Sniff, you can still hit the like and subscribe button, despite the fact I look like a thumb. I'm one sub away from 3,030 subscribers, so help a brother out. Halo, says Daniel, thank you for being here. I don't know who was in the kitchen. I'm just here. I'm not going to look behind me. I'm not going to fall for that. 18th degree Scottish Rite, so Rose Qua. I never went beyond that. Um, Never went to the 32nd. Maybe one day I will. But right now, my focus is on Blue Lodge, and my focus is on this channel and traveling for Freemasonry. So I'm too busy, unfortunately, to travel in any other ways. Kane, you can also hit the like and subscribe button, so please do so. And thank you, Steve, for subbing. 3,032 subs. It's incredible. Thank you so much for helping and supporting the channel. It is greatly appreciated. It would not matter if I was or wasn't, Benny. Freemasonry welcomes men who are gay and straight, so that's what matters. I don't know what I'm having for dinner tomorrow yet. I haven't decided. My favorite type of food is seafood, so if anyone wants to send me some seafood, I hope you'll do so. It'd be much appreciated. Um, there you go, Steve. And don't forget, you can also share this stream with other people. You can do a super chat, just 99 cents. To help out. The more super chats we get, the more Facebook, or the more YouTube, I should say, favors this stream. I have not 9251. I have not heard of that. I don't know what it is. My pen looks like shrimp. Oh my, well, there you go. Nathan, it depends on the jurisdiction. My favorite, though, policy as it relates to trans Masons or trans people joining Freemasonry is actually from the United Grand Lodge of England, which way back in 2018 put forward a policy that if you are a trans man, you can join the fraternal side of Freemasonry. And nobody gets to question it or ask you about it or comment on it. It's your personal medical kind of journey. I think that's the right approach. I think UGLE had it absolutely correct. I would welcome a trans man into Freemasonry without issue, and I think we should. Some places in the States it's different, but I can say United Grand Lodge of England led the forefront in, I think it was 2018 with their policy, and it's the right policy in my opinion. So yeah. Trans identifies women, well, they would more likely join the Order of Women Freemasons, right? If they were trans woman. The trans man, they would join the fraternal side. Otherwise, they would join the Order of Women Freemasons. If someone were to join Freemasonry on the fraternal side and then transition, technically they would still be a member because they would have taken their obligation and would still be a member, as it should be and as the Grand Lodge of England states. However, my suspicion is if you were to transition from male to female, you would more than likely want to join the Order of Women Freemasons. Well, you shouldn't blacklist anyone who is LGBTQ. You shouldn't blacklist anyone for those type of, for sexual orientation. I think that is improper and wrong. Well, so if you're assigned female or born female and you transition to male, then, United Grand Lodge of England policy is you can join the fraternal side of Freemasonry. And I think that's the right approach. It's the approach I would take. I would not exclude anybody from joining Freemasonry if they were trans. Absolutely, who cares? Blue Waffle Raider, Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Well, I don't know what that has to do with trans issues, but okay. It's just life. It's just everybody having a human experience, however it is they have one. How long have you been? Well, Robert, I'm not a member of the Eastern Star, nor am I a sister of anything, but I've been a Freemason for almost 20 years, which is crazy to think, since 2007, which is nuts. Why? They're good people. They're just people. They're human beings like anybody else. No human being needs to go. I don't know any trans men who are Freemasons. That's not to say they don't exist. I've actually heard of some, but I've never met any personally. I've heard of them out of England, if I recall correctly. I'm a 33rd degree Freemason. All right, Eddie, I'm 18th degree, so you're ahead of me on the, or above me on the Scottish Rite system. However, always keep in mind the highest degree in Freemasonry is the 3rd degree. And obviously I should, remind people I speak exclusively for myself. I don't speak for any other Masons or any Grand Lodges. These are my opinions on Freemasonry and my desire to promote the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located. It's Megan. Hello. This channel is about Freemasonry, or more particularly, my views on Freemasonry. I speak exclusively for myself. It's about the ways that we can promote, or it's about promoting the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located. You might not, Nathan. First of all, I'm not going to confirm nor deny that there is a handshake. You got to join to find that out. There are modes of recognition. The nature of them are up to you to discover. What I would say, though, is just because you see something online doesn't mean it's always true. In fact, very often it is not the case. So just because you maybe see somebody online saying they have the quote unquote Masonic handshake doesn't mean it's true. I've seen a lot of people online exposing Freemasonry, and it turns out that they're full of baloney. So you need to be really careful about that. Ola Berthalamas, thank you for being here. My family's Scottish and was a Mason at unknown degrees, debating upon joining. Well, plugs, I mean, you're 23, so you're very young, so there's no, which makes me feel super old to say that. So there's no rush, take your time. But what I would suggest is if you're interested in joining Freemasonry, get in touch with the lodge that's close to you. Make sure it's recognized lodge, not clandestine. The way to do that is to ask them which Grand Lodge, to which Grand Lodge you're affiliated with. But then just talk to them. Tell them what makes you interested in being a Freemason, why you are debating joining Freemasonry, what interests you about Freemasonry, what concerns you about joining, and just talk to them. And just ask them, just talk to them, get to know them. You don't, just because you talk to somebody, it doesn't mean you have to join Freemasonry. Anybody who tries to force you or say you have to join, if you talk to them, is scamming you. Freemasonry will never force you to join. It's just a chance to talk to them and get to know them a little bit better. Freddie Fazbear, isn't that the person from Five Nights at Freddy? Well, Freemasonry, the one thing we have to sacrifice is our time. That's about it. To be a Freemason, we have to sacrifice time. Even that's not always true. It depends on what jurisdiction you are. I am that I am from the Bible itself. Square the circle. I don't know if you're referencing geometric principles, which is a Masonic thing, if you're referencing Freemasonry, or if you're referencing professional wrestling and the squared circle. Either way, thank you for being here. That is true, Bartholomew. Freemasonry is not actually free in a monetary sense. It can cost money. The cheapest dues I pay are $40 per year. The most expensive, thank you, Will Smith. That's very kind of you. The most expensive is $175. What I would say to keep in mind, though, about that is Freemasonry doesn't actually mean monetarily free. There's two possibilities as to what Freemasonry means, and there's debate actually as to where the term Freemason comes from. It either comes from free as in the idea of being free to travel and earn a wage as a Mason. So you are free as a stonemason to travel to different lands in different parts of the world and apply your trade to make a living for yourself and for your family. Or it comes from this idea of freestone, which is a type of stone that was easily mined in quarries. In fact, it was so easily mined that you could just pull it. It was freestone. You could just pull it right from the quarry. You didn't need to chip it out. And it was a certain type of stone that was especially challenging to work with. And so Freemasons were the type of stonemasons who worked specifically with that type of stone called freestone. 18th degree, Robert. I'm not going to share too much ritual, but it sounds like you're talking about York Rite ritual there, or Preston Webb. Happy birthday, Sanjeet. I hope you have a great birthday. I don't want to double tap the screen. I'm not going to do that. Will they take an introvert that has a chip on his shoulder? Well, I mean, they'll take an introvert. There are many people who join Freemasonry who are introverts, and they join either because they find it hard to make new friends and they're trying to force themselves to be more out in the world. The chip on your shoulder, I mean, I would suggest entering any new environment, but especially a Masonic lodge with a chip on your shoulder is probably not healthy. Um, don't have chips on your shoulder. You're going there to learn about Freemasonry, right? You can't go on there to learn about Freemasonry if you have a chip on your shoulder. So that's my advice on that. What is my favorite moment from being a Freemason? Gosh, that's so tough. Honestly, sad boys, that's such a tough question to answer because I've had so many incredible moments just today, just this week, getting a chance to visit Masonic lodges in Bogota, seeing what was probably the most beautiful Masonic canopy, celestial canopy I've ever seen. I posted pictures of it on social media. Please check it out. It was absolutely gorgeous. Being in Paducah, Kentucky, and hearing the rain hitting the tin roof in a third degree, which took place in a barn, getting initiated, getting passed, getting raised. Getting raised to the third degree was especially wonderful because my dad was there, as was my mom was waiting for us back at the bar. I asked my friends to take her out for a few drinks. That was really incredible. Um, if you're not a people person, but you think joining Freemasonry might help, by all means, give it a shot. Talk to them. Ask them about joining. Explain you're interested in joining because you want to try to put yourself out there a little bit. I think that's a perfectly good reason to join. All right, I'll bless you for a good year ahead, Sanjeet. I wish you a happy birthday, but that's the last time, Sanjeet. And now I think I'm going to have to put you in timeout because you keep asking for the same thing. I've never heard it described that way before as a rebirth ritual. I think that makes me highly question. I mean, there's different rituals and ceremonies in Freemasonry. I don't understand the idea of a quote unquote rebirth. It's not really a Masonic thing to my knowledge. So I'm not quite sure from whence that's coming. Um, right? There's different degrees in Freemasonry. They all have different lessons and stories. Never heard of a rebirth ritual, though. I mean, I can kind of understand a little bit, thinking about it like a third degree, a little bit, but never heard that expression before. Well, I would be very hesitant, sad boys, as to what you believe on the tubes. YouTube is not always accurate. YouTube is not always correct. You need to be very careful about that. Um, do you think maybe at the very top there are secrets? I do not. I see those hearts, Smokey. Thank you so much for that. Bear Thalamas, the Oddfellows are not Freemasons. I mean, they're not Freemasons, but they do have a lot of connections to Freemasons. Back in the day, especially, there was a ton of Masons who were also Oddfellows. And Oddfellows borrowed a lot of kind of their symbols and rituals and ceremony from Freemasonry. Even kind of the lodge, Oddfellows Lodge setup is kind of Masonic in a sense. So there is that as well. Um, so there's connections, but they're not the same organization. It's not about not snitching, it's just about maintaining privacy for the purpose of the bonds of brotherhood, right? If I start to share with everybody the quote unquote Masonic modes of recognition, then it becomes less relevant and we become less connected to our brothers. So, um, it's like having a family recipe. I've used that example a million times. If you have a family recipe, you're not going to share it with everybody, not because there's anything nefarious in the family recipe or you're afraid of snitching. It's just because it's a way to maintain the bonds of brotherhood between yourself or it's a way to maintain the bonds between your family members, past, present, and future. Oof, you've been working hard, Smokey. I'm going to be going to bed pretty soon myself because I got to wake up and do another stream tomorrow. However, I did want to come on stream for at least half an hour. I like to do 1 a.m. and 1 p.m. streams. I try to do trips with brethren when I can. It really depends on the lodge and the Masons they're in. But we have gone on some Masonic trips. Sometimes Masons do trips overseas, like the Grand Master will organize a trip, or they'll do a trip on a cruise. They'll do a trip to another lodge a few hours away. I've been on a lot of different Masonic trips. It really depends on the lodge and the master to organize what he thinks is best, or the Grand Master of the jurisdictions. Sad boys, I'm actually one of my favorite trips Arcturian Prince was a Masonic trip we took from Windsor to Goderich, which is a small town in kind of northern Ontario-esque. We rented a cabin, we slept there, and we went to visit a Masonic lodge in Goderich. It was really incredible. It was a beautiful trip. Sad Boys, watch any good indie horror movies? I've just watched Silent Night, Deadly Night, the remake. It was really good. I'm amazed it hasn't gotten more attention. I don't know why more people aren't talking about it or didn't get more advertising. Real Boss, please hit like and subscribe. I am Canadian and English, so there you go. My dad is from England. My mom is from Canada. It was good. I'm amazed they didn't do more advertising for it. Like it seems crazy to me. I was in Mexico, Ural, for Freemasonry, and it was incredible. Please, by the way, hit the like and subscribe button. AI Shorts, you as well. How far back does it go? I assume you're talking about how far back does Freemasonry go? Freemasonry goes back at least 300 to 400 years. The Grand Lodge of England was founded June 24th, 1717. However, there's been many examples of Freemasonry, speculative Masonry existing in Scotland going back, going back to 1634, I think, is the first example of speculative Freemasonry. I would generally say the mid 17th century is how far back Freemasonry goes. Stonemasonry, you could argue, goes back millions of years, right? It goes back, I would argue, as far as, it goes back at least, in my opinion, to our ancient human ancestors who made stone tools on the plains of Africa. I am a Freemason, fast boy. I've been a Freemason since 2007. Please hit the like and subscribe button. I will look for that, Smokey. I promise I will look for that. Zor, what's on my mind? Talking about Freemasonry. Please hit that like and subscribe. So Freemasonry is not older than the Egyptian pyramids. Stonemasonry is older than that. Again, stonemasonry, you could argue, goes back millions of years to our human ancestors creating stone tools. Freemasonry, though, I would say exists to, the mid 17th century. I do not know what the Great White Lodge of Hermes Trismegistus is. I mean, Hermes I know of from like Greek and Roman mythology. I do not know what that is to which you're referring. Fast Boys, are you a Freemason or do you have any questions? I do these streams 1 p.m. and 1 a.m. and I talk about Freemasonry. The 1 p.m. streams, Monday through Friday, I don't have any specific topics. Sorry, the 1 p.m. streams, I have specific topics. The 1 a.m. stream, I just hang out and see who joins. Okay, that's cool. That happens very often, is grandfathers will join Freemasonry, and when they pass, will pass on their rings or jewelry or coins or whatever it might be to either their son or their grandson. Well, good for you, Kane. Rick Rebel, I am a Mason. I don't know why you're saying it's BS. I have been to I've not been to Denmark, but I'd love to go. This year I've been to the Philippines. I've been to Rio de Janeiro. I've been to Bogota. I've been throughout the States. I've been to England and Scotland. Sadly, never to Denmark. I hope you can have a career in Freemasonry. I have been to Canada. I'm from Canada, born and raised in Canada. I'm 42. The purpose of this stream, which is why I'm asking everybody to like, subscribe, and do a super chat, is to find a way to turn my passion for Freemasonry into a profession or into a career by engaging in the social media sphere. So please, do so if you can by helping me out. Okay, well, happy birthday to Crystal Lynn, to your mama or to you. What's Freemasonry? Freemasonry is a civic organization or a social club that's existed for over 300 years. I belong to many lodges. So nobody gets paid within Freemasonry. Unless, in some cases, there are like the secretary of a lodge might get $50 a year, something like that, or something really small. as a way to cover expenses related to things like, mailing items or whatever it might be. Um, but if anybody tells you to join Freemasonry and eventually you'll get paid to be a Freemason, that's not the case. They're probably scamming you. What lodge I belong to? I belong to five Masonic lodges, but my mother lodge is Windsor Lodge 403. Um, and my currently worshipful master of Border Cities Lodge number 554. Glory, blessings. Thank you for being here. Good morning to you as well. Please hit like and subscribe. I thought Freemasons had standard. I mean, they let me in, so clearly they must not have a standard if they're letting me in. To visit some Masonic brethren there, and it was incredible. I visited the Philippines. I visited Manila in particular. It was wonderful. The brethren were incredible. There's a lot of great Masons there. The Grand Lodge of Philippines is beautiful. Um, I am not a witch, Mr. Pallid, but do I look like one? Aber Fuentes, please hit like and subscribe. Um, a lot of different reasons, Prince. Why is there such a lore about Freemasonry? I have not done that in any way, shape, or form. Freemasons don't marry anyone. That's not what Freemasonry is about. Certainly not children. I want to visit Morocco really badly, Sam. I think Morocco would be an incredible place to visit. Um, None. Brando, I didn't find the Philippines dangerous. I found the people very friendly and very kind. Um, I loved my time in the Philippines. I thought it was incredible. Never seen an episode of South Park. I've seen clips of it. Seems funny. I know they made fun of the Masons. I have no problem with that. Um, oh, Charles Xavier. By the way, I'm in the wheelchair, so I should be called Charles Xavier. Someone's been falling for conspiracy theory nonsense on YouTube. Um, yeah, there's a lot of them coming out, but that's okay. What is the point of being a Mason? The point of being a Mason is the same point as joining any group. It's to belong to something bigger than yourselves, right? The point of Freemasonry is the same reason people join sports teams, join clubs, join organizations. It's the reason why it's the reason why when you're a kid, you form a clubhouse with you and your friends. It's to meet, to be part of something bigger than yourselves, right? When Aristotle said man is a political animal, he didn't mean man is political as in he's left, right, left wing or right wing or anything like that. What or political or conservative, Democrat, anything like that. What he meant was human beings always have a desire to belong to groups, to form groups, to be part of something greater than themselves. So Freemasonry is one way that people find the expression of joining something and being part of something. Um, that is, that is the point of anything, of any group. Beyond that, you then have to look at how does Freemasonry or how does the group channel that desire. So both Freemasonry and like criminal gangs, they both are fulfilling that same desire to belong to something bigger than yourselves. However, Freemasonry channels that desire in a positive way through things like community service and brotherly love, and kindness and temperance, whereas gangs channel that desire through negative things like criminal activities. Um, you can be in a wheelchair and be a Freemason. I'm living proof of that. I've actually known many Freemasons who are in wheelchairs. There are ways to work the ritual to allow one to join. What's interesting, um, Charles Xavier, is I think you may have been reading some very old stuff. So within Freemasonry, there was a time where you had to be a whole person to join. What that meant is you had to have all four of your limbs. Um, but then in the 1920s, a lot of Freemasons, a lot of veterans returning from World War One were applying to join Masonic lodges and were being denied because they had lost their limbs in battle. And obviously, Freemasons pointed out that it seems incredibly perverse to deny a veteran admittance into lodge because he, was fighting for the country and lost his limbs in battle. So they changed the rule in the 1920s in the United States, in Ontario, excuse me. They changed the rule in Ontario in the 1920s to allow those missing limbs to join Freemasonry, and the ritual is modified as necessary to allow the initiate to go through. Um, And I think that is a demonstration of, Freemasonry recognizing there is a problem, at least in Ontario, and, modifying it to allow for those missing limbs to join. Because obviously, if you are a veteran and you're going to fight for the country, you should be allowed to join the Masonic Lodge upon return. I think everyone would agree with that. Um, yeah, trolls are trolls. You're going to be online. You got to accept it. It's part of it. CIA hole. I will take that. That's very kind because John Cena is my favorite professional wrestler, by far and away. How is it modified? Well, if there are certain movements that I'm not able to do, for example, if there's, like, let's say, for example, I'm not saying you have to do this or not, but let's say you have to kneel for a certain portion of it, another Mason may take that, may take that position for me, and he will kind of act as my legs since I cannot do it. It's one of those things where I don't have to take, it's one of those things where the brothers step in and help you as necessary. One of the strengths of Freemasonry, right? And there are Masons I've met who are missing limbs. There are some Masons who are missing arms, some are missing legs, some who are blind, some who are deaf. We within Freemasonry, we're craftsmen and we don't, craft buildings, we craft experiences. And that means working with our applicants and our brothers who are disabled in order to create a successful lodge experience. Um, I've even known Masons who are blind who come into lodge with their guide dogs. And the really cool thing about it is the guide dog gets his own apron and collar when the brother is being advanced through the degrees. I don't live in a wheelchair. I'm in a wheelchair. I use it to move around, but I don't stay in it 24 hours, 7 days a week. So there are women in Freemasonry. Sad boys. There is the Order of Women Freemasons, which has been around in England longer than women have had the right to vote. There's also co-masonry. There's also Eastern Star, which is on the regular side recognized, for women and men as like a Masonic order. So there are. Kane says, Snot, please hit like and subscribe. I would truly appreciate it. I love all music. If art is how we decorate, if art is how we decorate space, music is how we decorate time. But I'm way cooler. Well, you are very cool, Gabe can't say, but what makes somebody particularly cool is if they hit the like and subscribe button. So please do so. Kimberly Wamehu, hello. Thank you for being here. Please hit like and subscribe. Kimberly, I said hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you for being here. The 8. I do not know what Dracula Flow 1 to 5 is. Sorry, Fresh Out. That is a misconception. That's not how Freemasonry works. Saul Goodman, are you saying I look like the Kool-Aid Man? I'll take it. I got the red shirt, so I guess I do kind of look like the Kool-Aid Man. What can I say? Do I play video games? I started to play them more. My favorite is probably Dead Space, either 1, 2, or 3. But I also really like Assassin's Creed Part 3 because of its Masonic connections. Okay, Deborah. Well, welcome. Thank you for being here. Tin Man says I got a 20 head, as in I got a big forehead. I know I do. That shouldn't stop you from hitting the like and subscribe button. Oh, that's not happening at all. Nobody's flying. I mean, people can fly in to help at an initiation, especially if they know the brother, but it's incredibly rare. I mean, it costs a lot of money to fly nowadays, especially. Tell me more. What do you want to know? Tell me more. I mean, here's what I always say. So I've been a Freemason since 2007, so almost 20 years. I've attended over 2,000, or no, over 1,000 Masonic events, probably closer to 1,500 at this point. Sometimes it's Masonic degree ceremonies, sometimes it's Masonic administration meetings, sometimes it's banquets, sometimes it's public celebrations, sometimes it's private ceremonies, sometimes it's online. I've attended them in across America, in probably half the states in America, throughout Canada, in Brazil, in Bogota, Colombia, in the Philippines, in England, and in Scotland. And at no point in time have I seen anything that would indicate there's a secret cabal running anything, or some type of special group that has all the secrets. I can understand people thinking that if, for example, I had to always give advance notice of when I would be attending, or if I was not being allowed to join, or if I'm not being allowed to attend a Masonic meeting. But the fact that I've never been turned away, I've attended so many events, I've met so many Masons, and I've traveled around the world to do it, I think my experiences should count for something, as to what I've seen, right? Actually, I have been to Dubai work. I traveled from Manila in the Philippines to Brazil, and there was a stopover in Dubai. And what I remember about that the most, and what I found so incredible, was I was in this hotel waiting to catch my flight. They gave me a hotel overnight, and I looked up at the ceiling, and I saw, it was crazy because I saw a arrow pointing towards Mecca, and it made me realize, like, hey, I'm in a new place. I'm in a new part of the world. It was really cool. It made me feel like a traveler. I don't ban people from the chat via Victe as a rule, but I'll put people in timeout if they're annoying me. But as a general rule, I try not to ban people. Did you enjoy Edinburgh? I did enjoy Edinburgh. It was beautiful. Well, if I banned you, how'd you come back on? I just gave you a timeout. Well, okay. You can speak, Kimberly, but I can't promise I'll see every answer to you. Well, they are incorrect. When you say higher ups, I guess that's a very vague term. Certainly there are, for example, Grand Masters within jurisdictions. There's a Grand Master in Ontario, there's a Grand Master in Manitoba, but Freemasonry is jurisdictional, right? Um, I'm using my disability as good PR because I love talking about Freemasonry. If anything, I think most people would prefer Freemasonry. Most Masons, I've never had a Mason put me on an advertisement or anything like that. Well, the Nazis were anti-Masons. Um, the Nazis were famously banned Freemasonry in Germany. Hitler famously wrote negatively about Freemasonry in, was it called, Mein Kampf? Um, Bree, would it matter if I was or not? Freemasonry welcomes men of all different faiths. Jewish, Christian, Muslim, we have Catholic and, Protestant Freemasons, Hindu, Sikh, Indigenous. Would it matter if I were Jewish? Um, I do not know what the flute is. What would it matter, Vi Victe? I'm very curious the obsession that some people seem to have with ethnicity on the channel. It concerns me a little bit because I was always brought up to not worry about someone's ethnicity, as I think no one should. Um, I do not know. We in Freemasonry do not control the weather, Marantha. But if you hit the like and subscribe button, maybe we'll get more sun. Who knows? Well, it shouldn't matter on the chat, is what I'm saying, and it doesn't matter in Freemasonry. Um, Mustache Man didn't like a lot of people because he was a monstrous psychopath. So that's why he didn't like a lot of people. It's one of those things where sometimes I'd be rather be hated by a monster than loved by them, right? So in some ways, if Nazis hated Freemasons, that tells me that Freemasonry must be doing something right. Because Mustache Man was like I said, a psychopathic monster. Um, the fitness, Cole, I have no idea what you're talking about, but okay. I got a big nose. What can I say? I do have a big nose, Landon Wolf. Please hit like and subscribe. Um, oh, what country? I'm from Canada, born and raised. Grew up in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Currently live in Windsor, Ontario. Bree Nicole, I am a Freemason. I've been a Freemason since 2007, and very proud of it. Um, yeah, fresh out. What can we say? We got large noses. It's okay. We're still handsome devils, you know? We're still handsome devils. I love Canada. Canada is the greatest country in the world. In part because we have the greatest neighbors in the world. I love the States as well, but I love Canada. I think I'm very grateful to be Canadian, especially being born with no legs. There are a lot of places in the world where if you're born with no legs, it's not, you don't get to live the life I've lived because there's much less opportunities for you. So I never take that for granted, and I'm grateful to be part of it. There you go, fresh out. There you go. Freemasonry is not a cult for many reasons. The main one I would say is cults require unyielding loyalty to either a individual, like a leader, or to some doctrine. And Freemasonry does not require either of those things. In fact, you're encouraged in Freemasonry to put your family and your work ahead of Freemasonry, which is not what a cult would require. Um, yeah, I've opened up the lodges many times. I've had many open houses. I think we should do more open houses and get more people seeing our Masonic buildings and how wonderful they are. There's not really a corporate side of Freemasonry work 925, at least not in the way you're thinking of it. I mean, some Masonic lodges will have investments, but that will be based on their dues structures. Some Masonic lodges own their own buildings, but it's exclusive to a single building. There's really not a corporate structure in the same way that the Vatican has one, say. Now, that's not to say there aren't financial matters that get dealt with, benevolence funds, charities, but it's more, think of it more as administrative functioning, not corporate functioning, if that makes any sense. So can you speak? I don't know what speaking in Canadian means. Like the accent, oot and a boot. What's this all about? Is that what you're saying? Um, Freemasons do not worship Baal. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I've heard that. I've also heard sometimes Moloch referenced in this chat. Neither is the case. I cannot speak French. I wish I could. I really wish I spoke more languages. One of my biggest regrets is I speak exclusively English and bad English. I wish I spoke, additional languages. But I will say one of the greatest experiences I've had within Freemasonry is attending meetings and attending Masonic rituals in an entirely foreign language. Just recently, I was in Bogota, Colombia, and I sat in on a third degree at the Grand Lodge of Colombia. And the entire third degree was done in Spanish. And it was fascinating because I did not understand a word, yet I understood everything. Right? It went to show the universality of the craft, that I could recognize the ritual, know exactly what is happening without being able to understand the words that they're speaking. It's a really beautiful thing and goes to show that Freemasonry, even though it's jurisdictional, is universal, and it's a beautiful thing. Hello from Tel Aviv. Oscar, I'm a Mason out of Tel Aviv as well. I'm a member of Lodge Holy Land number 50. I affiliated with it. I've never been to Israel, but I really want to go there at some point and visit Tel Aviv, and specifically Lodge Holy Land number 50. Just for the record, you don't need to be Jewish to affiliate with that lodge. They welcome affiliations from around the world. They don't ask what your religion or your ethnicity is. Just because you're a member of a lodge in Israel doesn't confirm nor deny that you're Jewish. Israel has Muslim Freemasons, Christian Freemasons, Jewish Freemasons as well. Well, I'm not a citizen in Israel. I'm not an Israeli citizen. I'm a member of a lodge there. So if I were to visit the lodge, I'd be going as a tourist. Professional. What's my thoughts on the Catholic Church? I have no thoughts on the Catholic Church. I've known many Catholics, many Catholic Freemasons as well, actually. I am not a reviler of anyone's religion. If the Catholic faith brings somebody peace and comfort and they find their purpose in it, then more power to them. So long as they believe in a supreme being, they're welcome to be a Freemason, Catholic or otherwise. Um, what's my thoughts? You just have to accept it, sad boys. Unfortunately, if you're going to go on stream, you're going to have to deal with the Vive Victes. You're going to have to deal with you're going to have to deal with the trolls and with the people who think they know stuff they don't. That's just the nature of being online, right? And that's the price you pay. But it's still a wonderful thing to be here and to be able to talk to people. Um, okay, San Dixon. I'm a Freemason out of Canada, Windsor, Ontario. Been a Freemason for almost 20 years. Welcome, San. Thank you for being here. Square and Compass Promotions, we promote the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located. I do two streams Mondays through Friday, one at 1 p.m. and one at 1 a.m. The 1 p.m. stream, I have specific topics lined up. The 1 a.m. stream, I just hang out and chat with people. Well, Victor, you're not trolling, you're just wrong about everything. Um, um, if, well, I mean, we're private, but we're not dishonest, right? If we were dishonest, we would lie. Being private just means I'm not going to tell you something. It's kind of like if you ask me my bank account information and I say, I'm not going to tell you that, I'm not lying to you. I'm just being private with my information. That's not the same as lying, right? Choosing to maintain privacy maintains the bonds of brotherhood. It's no different than having a family recipe. Um, Well, Freemasonry is not Kabbalah. There are connections between Freemasonry and Kabbalah. Freemasonry borrowed from everything. Freemasonry borrowed primarily from stone Masonic guilds in the 15th and 16th centuries. That's where primarily our ritual and our symbols come from. However, we also borrowed from Christian religion, from Judaism, from Islam, from Chinese mythology, from Stoic philosophy, from Egyptian mysticism, from the Enlightenment era philosophies, some political science ideas. We took from a lot of different places when crafting Freemasonry. Um, I don't think Egyptian mysticism comes from Jews. Certainly, Stoic philosophy doesn't come from Jews. Stoic philosophy, that's insane. Stoic philosophy came from Epictetus, if I recall correctly, and most famously from Marcus Aurelius. Um, right? It was a Greek and Roman philosophy, most famously created through Marcus Aurelius and his meditations. Um, Never witnessed it myself. I've seen some passions within Freemasonry. However, most brothers are able to work it out before it gets to a point where he has to be kicked out of a lodge. I know it can't happen though. I'm sure it has in the past. Dark secrets. My dad is from England. My mom is Canadian. I think her family came from Sweden. I'm glitching out. Um, my name is Cameron. If I'm glitching out, maybe I'll need to end the. Oh, okay. Maybe I'll need to end the stream soon. Honestly, I usually do these streams for just about an hour at 1 a.m. because I do need to get some sleep at some point. I'll be back on at 1 p.m. Um, we're not too late to get two more subs to get us up to um, 3,040 subs. So I'd appreciate the help. Baseball is definitely not a Masonic ritual vi victe, just because three is an important number in many contexts. Um, Three pops up a lot. Just because it pops up doesn't mean it's Masonic. That's definitely the craziest idea I've ever heard. What's a diamond, right? The baseball diamond. Doesn't look like a square and compasses to me. Well, I'm just gonna call you Mr. Nuts. It is definitely not a compass. Mr. Nuts, how about you hit the like and subscribe button and consider a $2 super chat? There, you could argue there's four bases, right? There's home plate as well. You could put that one in there. I'd say there's four. Not saying there hasn't been Masonic baseball teams. There actually was one in the 1930s during the Great Depression. Some lodges created their baseball teams for fun. We've actually done some Masonic softball games, but Freemasonry did not create baseball. That's a crazy idea. I don't know enough about soccer. I'm not really a big sports guy. Um, so I couldn't talk about it because I don't know anything about it. It's also okay to hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you, Sad Boys. That's incredibly kind of you. I greatly appreciate that. Um, that is very, very kind. Work? It probably is. What's his name? Joseph Smith, who invented Freemasonry. Sorry, Joseph Smith invented Mormonism. Excuse me. Joseph Smith, who invented Mormonism, he was himself a Freemason. I don't know. I'm not a Mormon myself. I don't know enough about Mormonism to say, but it would not shock me at all if within Freemasonry, um, within the Mormon faith, Joseph, or is it Joseph Adams, Joseph Smith, whomever it was, borrowed some Masonic rituals. 10 DKK is one uh, tickle. I don't care if 10 DKK is 1 penny. I'm grateful that someone would give me a super chat. That's incredibly kind. Um, that's incredibly generous of him. I don't know why you would ever look down on anybody for doing a super chat. Sad boys, it's greatly, greatly appreciated. Any amount, just the fact you would do so is greatly appreciated. I got a big nose. What can I say? I've grown to accept it about myself. If I had a regular sized nose, I'd be too handsome and it'd be too much for, I would not be able to leave any women for the rest of you. So I have no choice. Um, I have no choice but to have this big nose. Vi Victe, you have a very self-aggrandized view of yourself. You're not that important in the chat. You're just one of many. Um, you seem to think you're the most important one in the chat for some reason. But you're one of many. Well, I'll take it. I know I got see, if I have these beautiful blue eyes, to have these beautiful blue eyes and to have a regular sized nose, the handsomeness would be too much for anybody to bear. Well, thank you, 101. Please hit the like and subscribe button. One thing you got to accept is if you're going to be on these streams, you have to accept the fact people are going to talk about your face and how you look. I've just grown to accept it. Freemasonry is not about the New World Order. Freemasonry is not trying to run anything, certainly not trying to run the world, despite what people may say on social media. But you can, Zay101, hit the like and subscribe button. Well, then don't quote the quote-unquote Jews. I don't know what you're quoting, but maybe don't be quoting stuff because I don't know what you're talking about. Amber Michelle, yes, God gives the biggest nose to the strong. That's what I'm going to tell people on the stream. When anybody asks me, why I have a big nose, I'm going to say God gives his biggest noses to his strongest soldiers. I will, Amber Michelle. By the way, please hit that like and subscribe button. It would be greatly appreciated. I will be back on at 1 p.m. today. Going to talk about Masonic fonts, more particularly the type of fonts we should use when recording information, sending out summonses, etc., etc. Do you know who Rabbi Henry Wise is? I do not. Kimberly, you can leave or stay. It's up to you. I mean, you don't have to ask me permission for that. That's weird. You're online. You can come and go as you please. But I appreciate you being here. I appreciate everybody who has been here. So I do not know who Rabbi Henry Wise is. According to Google, he was a 20th century American Reform rabbi and Zionist leader in the Progressive Era. era, excuse me. Um, Apparently from 1874 to 1949. Never heard of him though. Um, Amber, I talk about Freemasonry. At 1 p.m., I have specific topics I discuss, like the type of fonts we use in communications. At 1 a.m., I just hang out and chat with people. The last movie I saw in theaters was The Long Walk. It was an incredible movie, actually made me cry. Um, what is the purpose of life? Everybody has to answer that question for themselves. I truly believe there's no single purpose to life. Everybody needs to find the purpose for themselves. For me, the purpose is to try to build a better world through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. Hello, Star VRYTT. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Why did Jews say that all the Masons' passwords are Jewish in origin? Well, I mean, as someone who's been through a sufficient number of Masonic degrees and ceremonies, there are some, Jewish influences within it. There's no doubt, but there's also Christian influences. There's also Islamic influences. There's also Egyptian mysticism. I would say that Jewish people said that. The people who said that were probably misinformed about what Freemasonry was or did not understand all of Freemasonry, right? That's not to say there's not Jewish influences therein. There absolutely is, or Judaism. I actually did a whole podcast about it on a few episodes. Like last year, I did an episode, a podcast about the, Freemasonry and Judaism. It was a really good episode. I really enjoyed it. But it's definitely not exclusive. By far and away, the majority of what influenced Freemasonry and its development were stone Masonic guilds of England and Scotland in the 15th and 16th centuries. They do. I just made it under the gun. I know I've got a big nose, John Fox, but I just made it under the gun. Um, I don't know what a face reveal is, Brie Nicole, but please hit like and subscribe. Shrimp, please hit like, please hit subscribe. Okay, Godzilla, I'm Scottish Rite Mason as well, 18th degree Scottish Rite. Very proud to be a Scottish Rite Freemason. Um, let's not do that. Let's not free Diddy Star. Let's not do that. I do. I've been part of many Masonic ceremonies, many Masonic. I don't like the term ritual. I prefer the term ceremony. I think it's more accurate. Never seen anything that would be satanic in any way. Yeah, Rose Qua, not Rose Prince, but Rose Qua is the way to think of it. There are like, different degrees, like Perfect Prince, stuff like that, but 15 to 18, think of Rose Qua. Um, I am joking, John. Or I'm not joking, John Fox. I mean, I joke about a lot of things, like the size of my nose. But when it comes to Masonic ceremonies, I don't joke. There are no satanic ceremonies within Freemasonry. Yes, Robert Cook. To be one, ask one is the term. Yeah, I mean, what you can do, Robert Crook, is you find the closest Masonic lodge to you. And if you want to just stop by and knock on the door and see if anybody's in, you certainly can. And you're welcome to do so. Um, However, I'm always very hesitant about encouraging people to do that just because if you go there and there's nobody around, you've kind of wasted a trip, especially if it's out of your way. Um, Also, the if let's say somebody's there but they're getting ready for a degree or a special event, they might be too busy to talk to you. And again, you've kind of gone out there and haven't had the chance to talk to them because they're too busy. What I would always suggest, um, Robert Cook is if you are just going to stop by the lodge and knock on the door, bring a piece of paper with your name and your phone number on it and your email address. And that way, if there is somebody there, but they're too busy to talk to you, you can just give them the information and they can call you at a later date and time when they have the time to talk. Or if nobody's present, you can just put your information in the mailbox and just with a note saying you'd like to learn more about potentially joining, um, which is kind of the best way to do it. Or you can in advance email them or call them. And that way, when you go see them, they'll be expecting you and they'll be ready to talk to you. Most lodges, if you do a Google search, have an email address or phone number available. But one of the most dangerous, not most dangerous, that's a silly term. One of the most inconvenient. I've known Masons who drive or applicants who've driven 30, 40 minutes to the lodge, knocked on the door, and the Masons have either not been there or just been too busy to talk to them. So if you are just going to stop by and knock on the door, like I said, have a letter with you that you can drop off with your contact information on it that you can either give to a Mason or put in the mailbox, if that makes any sense at all. Yes, a Whopper is crazy for breakfast. Well, I've been involved in this shit for 20 years, um, and I'm doing okay. Robert Cook, I hope what I said made sense. Please hit like and subscribe. Um, Good morning from Sweden. It's wonderful to have somebody from Sweden here. Um, Honestly, Amber, Michelle, if you want to learn more about Freemasonry, start with Freemasonry for Dummies. Um, that is the best place to start. It's Freemasonry for Dummies. It's written by Chris Hodap. It's a great book. It describes Freemasonry very well and very simply. And that's always my suggestion for a great place to start. You can also go to my Medium channel, Medium Square and Compass. I wrote I wrote a Medium story which had a list of resources, a list of publicly available newsletters to teach you more about Freemasonry. Um, Hello, I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to call you I am. Please hit like and subscribe. Um, Vi, Vicday. But yeah, Freemasonry for Dummies, Chris Hodap, great resource with which to start. Um, well, he can say whatever he wants to say. It doesn't make it's true. It's no different than people getting obsessed with what's his name? People getting obsessed with Albert Pike. Albert Pike says a lot of stuff. Some of it's true, a lot of it's not. And that's true for me as well. Nobody has to take anything I say at face value. You're welcome to disagree with me. I would just hope my years of experience within Freemasonry would count for something. Um, he was not as powerful as people think he was. He was out of the southern jurisdiction of Scottish Rite, out of Arkansas. He was a newspaper editor. He was not nearly as powerful as people think he was, and not nearly as important as people think he was. Unfortunately, he wrote a book that said a bunch of stuff, some of which was true, some of which was inflammatory, and it got published a million times over. And next thing you know, people assume he's like the preeminent Freemason. He's kind of like Cicero from ancient Rome. Probably not as important as people think he is. He just wrote so much that he got an inflated sense of importance from others. Um, so Albert Pike, but I'm saying, Albert Pike says a lot of stuff. Just because he says it doesn't mean it's true. The same thing is true of the, what's his name? The Rabbi Isaac Wise that you said. Just because he says it doesn't mean it's true. A lot of it could be interpretation. A lot of it could be his own Masonic philosophies. He may see more Judaism in Freemasonry than actually exists because he's interpreting it through his own prism. In the same way, within Freemasonry, I see a lot of connections to Anglo-Saxon history, but I'm interpreting it through my own prism of my family connections to it and my understanding of the history of it. That doesn't mean it's true. It's our interpretation of Freemason. Um, each Freemason's lodge, in some ways, but many Masonic buildings are actually modeled after ancient Egypt, right? For example. So yeah, King Solomon is a very important part of Freemasonry. King Solomon is an incredibly important part of Freemasonry. So certainly, in that sense, there's a lot of connections to ancient Israel. But again, that's one part of Freemasons. That's not the whole thing. Um, and I definitely wouldn't say the latter. The former, the master in the high chair, You could argue there's a King Solomon representation therein, and King Solomon is just very important to Freemasonry. The latter, though, I would definitely not say that's the case. I've not seen anything in my experience that would indicate Masons are the personification of the Jewish workman. Um, but King Solomon, there's no question that King Solomon is a very important figure within Freemasonry. In fact, it's my hope to get somebody on stream at some point to talk about King Solomon from a historical context. Well, I'm a Freemason, and I don't think I'm awful. I could be mistaken, but I think I'm pretty good. Um, the Catholic Church used to excommunicate Freemasons. Now, to my knowledge, if you're a Catholic and you're a Freemason, you're not allowed to take communion as a Catholic. Although, even that, I know many Catholic Freemasons. So, the extent to which it's actually practiced, I don't know if it really even is practiced anymore. To what extent it is. My hope was with the new. My hope was with the new Pope. They may reconsider their Masonic ideas, because the new Pope was born in Chicago in 1959. He would have been very exposed to Freemasonry because he would have seen it, because at that time Freemasonry was very ubiquitous in the United States. So I was hoping he may be willing to reconsider the Catholic view of Freemasonry. Um, well, I know many Catholic Freemasons, and I believe they attend church, so you can decide what that means, however it is you so choose. Um, well, I wish you the best as well. SoCal rocks. Please hit like and subscribe. When you say SoCal rocks, you mean Southern California rocks? Because I love Southern California. I've been to Los Angeles. I spent about 3 weeks there. It was incredible. A beautiful, beautiful place. Awesome people. Awesome Masonic history in Los Angeles. People don't realize how much Masonic history actually exists in Los Angeles, but there's a ton. I do not know what the Sanhedrin are, but it doesn't sound positive. Having said all of that, it's been 1 hour. It's 2 a.m. I need to get myself some sleep. Zach, I definitely don't agree with you on that one. I've loved California. I've been to both um, San Francisco and to Los Angeles, and they were both awesome places. Both have really cool Masonic history, but specifically, Los Angeles has a lot of crazy cool Masonic history. Um, I've been there. I've been there several times. I would definitely not say it's composed entirely of Jewish symbols. I mean, one of the symbols I saw most often at the Grand Lodge of England was the goose and gridiron symbol, which is not a Jewish symbol by any means. I didn't see all of the rooms. Again, I saw some symbols based on King Solomon and based on, King Solomon's Temple, which is a very important part of Freemasonry. But I also saw symbols based on stone mason guilds. In fact, primarily what I saw was symbols based on stone mason guilds, more so than anything else. I do not, because I want you to focus on my beautiful face grid. Please hit like and subscribe. Um, is this a nostril cam? No, but LOL Bird, you can hit the like and subscribe button. Um, Interestingly enough, a lot of actually Masons have started to use Greek symbolism. For example, very often what you see now is owls popping up in Masonic symbols and Masonic coat of arms, like in Detroit, because the owl is a symbol of wisdom, representing Athena, the Greek goddess of wisdom. So, um, Masons did not help the communists. Masons, fought for whatever country they were in at the time, primarily. I mean, at the time of World War II, Freemasonry was banned in Russia, but there are many Freemasons who fought for Canada, who fought for United Kingdom, who fought for England. My grandfather was a Freemason. He fought for Canada in World War II. Um, well, they didn't because the communists banned Freemasonry in Russia, right? Freemasonry in the Soviet Union was banned. So that is not the case. I mean, that was in like 1918, right under the revolution, is when Freemasonry was banned in Russia. Um, they did not vie, Victe. I'm pretty sure you are very incorrect about that. Simon, Rob, please hit like and subscribe. Um, I am going to be ending the stream because it is 2 in the morning and I'm very, very tired. But I will be back on tomorrow, or today technically, at 1 p.m. Thank you all for being here. It's been a blast. I'll talk to you all soon.